you, Emily, my love. What was the significance of this day for both you and your husband?
Honestly, it wasn't like we picked the day. I think we picked it mostly because of just, it wasn't like, oh, May 16th is an anniversary or anything like
Right,
that. It was
right,
just
okay.
a day that we found it kind of worked out. Like my grandmother's birthday would have been like the week before. My
Um,
aunt's birthday would have been the week after.
right,
My
right,
sister, she actually gave, my brother-in-law, they had their first child in January. So we wanted to have it in January if we could, but
right.
then she would have been now like given birth.
Okay.
So like there was that, and then also I wanted it to be in dry season around the time that people traveling would kind of nicely like enjoy the nice weather.
Of course, yeah, of
So
course.
yeah, and then May 16th just kind of sounded like like around
Just a nice time.
nice
A
dates.
nice
And
date.
so we just were like, you know what, it's a nice time in Trinidad. I mean, obviously the weather would have been awesome, and the fruit trees and like that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So we just kind of stuck with that, and
Okay.
yeah, that wasn't much like big
Right,
significance, or more
right.
than just logistically kind of felt right,
Okay.
at the
Got
time.
you. Okay. So when everything started going down and this pandemic just,
Yeah,
started going over, the world,
yeah,
what were your thoughts? Like all of the emotions and what were your initial thoughts?
yeah. I mean, I felt for some reason I feel like I could probably look back on my story archives and actually find the dates. But
Right,
like I felt like I started to like realize this thing was gonna become a bigger thing. Like my intuition
right,
told me, I would say like I think it was at the 18th is when I'd sent my first email to Trisha. Trisha reached out on the 18th of March.
right.
And actually like 2 weeks before that, I was definitely like it was very difficult. Um Super emotional, lots
Right,
of anxiety,
right.
especially my dad being away. And he kind of told me what I needed to say hey, at the time, which obviously ended up being different. It's kind of like, this is gonna be fine, like everything's gonna be good. No, don't even worry about it. Like by me, this thing is gonna be over, and
Right,
we'll all be able to travel or whatever.
right.
So I had kind of gone through my panic and then calmed down.
Okay.
And then, so March 18th is when Trisha had reached out to kind of talk about, let's talk about plans,
Right.
like should things change. And that, no lie, was really, really hard for me to like actually
Of
write
course.
down in an email form anything different than what I had originally
Yeah,
envisioned.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, but I had the strength somehow, like I had the strength to do it. And we had like different like plan A, B, and C scenarios.
Got you.
C being like at the time worst case scenario,
Right.
which ended up being what my wedding
Oh,
was.
really?
At,
Oh, wow.
might I say at the time felt like worst case scenario, which
Right,
now it doesn't feel like that at all, and neither did it a month before the wedding. That didn't feel like the worst case scenario anymore.
right,
Worst case scenario would have been Matt for some reason being away and not being able to come back to Trinidad. So,
right, right.
and that was a possibility, it's a
Wow.
content.
Yeah,
And,
kind of.
and that was a possibility that because Matt he wanted to go on his bachelor party sometime in early March.
Ah, okay.
And imagine if he went away and he wasn't able to come back.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So I think pretty early on, thankfully, I kind of started to come to terms with ideas that this may not be
Right,
what I thought it would be, and then kind of mentally preparing myself for
right,
that at least 2 months in advance
right,
before
right.
the date. So yeah,
Wow. Worst case scenario turned out to be the wedding day. That
but
is
yeah, what actually happened, and it felt like that when I wrote the
right.
email, or like
How amazing
plan
was that?
C, and then but like obviously the day was like my dream. It was
Oh,
fine.
very nice.
It was more
Very
than
nice.
fine. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Patricia, my love, you can pop in here. Let's get your perspective on the whole thing. So tell me how was that process? How was the from that first email, and the starting of the rescheduling and everything. How did that play out?
I didn't know about any rescheduling when Emily says I wrote to her because of the fact that in March we were still so unsure. I mean, I didn't even remember I wrote to her on that date.
I
So
checked back, yeah.
it's like, okay, March 18th, wow, the borders were not closed yet. We were not in that like dire situation that this pandemic has put us in, right? So knowing that I reached out was just me kind of knocking on the door to say, we have something brewing here, but we are also needing to remember your wedding. You know, like, what is your thinking? Because at this point, I'm prepared to just do whatever.
Exactly.
Whatever you say, however you say it.
Right. It's gonna get done.
You know, like, should I be looking to the vendors to request a different date?
Right.
You know, what has been happening on your side? Because of course, Emily would have been speaking with Matt. She would have been speaking with her mom, her sister, her dad, Matt's family.
Exactly.
You know, what's the family thinking? That's what I want to get a gauge of, right?
Right.
So, and as I said to her, that we had to put those plans in place, and that's more for me to understand, like, if I have to like jump tomorrow, what I'm jumping towards. And if I have to wait another week, we agree that we're aligned that in a week's time we should have this done. Or in a week's time we'll talk to this person. So that's from a planning perspective how I need to get things done and make sure that it falls in line with the client's expectations. I could not have foreseen what was going to happen. Really thought when we came up with plan A, B, and C that Emily's dad was going to be here. My parents were going to be able to come in. Like, we always thought that that was just going to happen. It might need, the wedding day might need to change a little bit, but generally we were going to have all of those people here.
Like the key people there.
Yeah. And then a big thing for me was trying to figure out how Emily and Matt were feeling.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, number one.
Trisha was very sensitive to that because like and that's what made like writing the email, even having like the first kind of set of phone calls, like very easy, because it was kind of like no pressure, but like what you're thinking and all. And for sure, like we already had guests kind of reaching out saying, okay, like what's going on. So it kind of gave us the confidence to be like, we're thinking about it. We're just monitoring things. And Trisha, you're so right. I mean, it's kind of hard to think about how we were thinking then, but we did not expect this to be such a prolonged thing at all. You know, you were all just like, it will be fine, like, but you know.
Well, look at that. So, I mean, I guess the experience working with Trisha, you know, with a experienced and amazing wedding planner, Trisha, I mean, I just have to say it. You know that you're amazing. You really are. It boils down to that. You know, you're looking at, as you said, and as we always discuss, the attention to detail. You're looking at, okay, I need to focus on my client first. We're going to go through that. Let's start there. And then after that, see how things play out and move forward from there. You know, so how is it, Emily, you know, like working with Trisha, going through the whole process, calling all the vendors and kind of planning things a little differently? That was a smooth process then.
In that point, it's like the whole thing for Trisha being there on our side and having Trisha with regards to this event just made everything so much easier. And this is where the value of having an experienced planner definitely comes in. You know, like a lot of these times I'm sure you'll hear this all the time, or people like judging or like asking like how much, like, you know, what's the value of hiring like a planner? You can plan, yes, you know. No, like you really can't. Not can't, but it's just when you let somebody who's a professional do what they have to do, things are going to go better, way better than you think you're going to do. And I'm sure, Trisha, I don't know if no one has ever had to unplan and then replan a wedding because of a pandemic. and
first time.
that's
Exactly.
yeah, that's where the value really came in, because a lot of, I'm sure there were a lot more hard conversations that I don't even know about, Trisha, that you had to make on our behalf, kind of as our advocate on behalf of Matt's family, my family, and Matt and I as a couple, when it came to kind of changing plans for the wedding.
Right.
And so Trisha was an amazing resource before the pandemic,
Right.
for getting things together.
Right.
And then during this whole process of this emotional process,
Right.
was a great guide. And then again, with like talking to vendors about changing plans, some people, we unfortunately could not, no, it didn't make sense. We could no longer obviously have as a part of the wedding because of, changes.
Yeah.
And then even with the vendors who remained, being kind of like a leader with the event, and setting the precedent of how things are going to go for that day, especially in this like new whole situation.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's challenging, I tell you, Emily, for wedding professionals. This whole thing, has been, as you rightly said, just very uncertain for all of us. So on a bride's perspective, we completely understand how challenging this must be. But for wedding professionals as well, it's been an emotional roller coaster, because you don't want to not be a part of a bride's, a couple special day. After you've worked so hard.
But just in general, but for sure, just has been inspiring, I think, for anybody who is in any event industry. Just as like, when, for lack of better, when the ish hits the fan, like we kind of have to, either you could turn this into a positive, make the best of it, or you could just be like, just use that same excuse, oh, it's a pandemic.
And that's it.
Like the opposite. It was like, the pandemic, let's figure this out, So thank you, Trisha, again, like, seriously,
I think that, hands down, I'm sure you'll hear this from Sam, from anybody who has had the opportunity of working through this experience. I took the guidance on you. Everything I let you set the tone on, Emily, because without you driving food, the pace, all of the key things of putting any kind of an event together, we could not have all joined together and supported. We know that we were going to be here for you in a supportive role. We knew that from the moment that you signed all of your vendors. Always the commitment that there was going to be that support. However, all of us are about planning events all the time, but we're not about planning people's emotions. There's no way in the world could I have ever put myself into Emily and Matt's shoes, because I've not walked a day in their shoes. We had to take lead from the couple. We had to take lead. I especially had to take lead because I was the one that was doing the majority of the liaising with them. So really, and when Emily said something very, very key to me, I was like, okay, that's it. We're not going to focus on anything no, we're just going to do this. We're doing this. We don't, every day we were not sure. I'm sure. How is this going to pan out? How is this going to happen? But she said one key thing, and that was the driver. She said something like, I don't want to be surrounded by anything negative. I only want positive vibes. Something like that in the very earlies. And I was like, okay, I get it. Because really, I'm never one to focus on a negative, especially when you know that we don't have any control over it. But when he said that, I knew that no matter who had to deal with them as a couple, who had to deal with us in this event planning, we needed to adopt something extremely positive all the time. It had to have been about solutions, not problems.
Yeah, for sure.
So it was a kind of, I lean on you, you lean on me, and because everybody subscribed to the same kind of emotion and feeling, that's why I know it went well.
So Leon and Lisa, would you all agree with that? Because of Emily's direction, everything was really nice and smooth and easier to deal with. The whole process was a lot nicer.
Yeah. I remember when Emily was doing the cake, and that was my first set of interactions with Emily.
Right.
And I was telling Leon earlier on that, you know, having met somebody on the day that I was about to do their shoot
Right.
has been, it hasn't been as impactful as it was when I met Emily on that day, because of everything that was surrounding, the entire circumstances between. I was worried about us not getting enough footage and all those things, and
Right.
and then we started to interact with them, and I was like, I'm worried about having too much content, because it was just so rich in experiences, and that same thing that Trisha said just rang out at that point, which was positivity. And she had her checklist up on the wall, and all the nice motivational things. And
I
was
know,
like,
I'm like, real. I need to see that stuff. Like, I have like things that help my anxiety, like written on my whiteboard that I leave there. And yeah, Lisa was like, "Oh my gosh, like this is speaking to me." So yeah, we definitely vibe on that.
she just an interaction with her on the day, she was very calm. And it was like an entire theme from first set of interactions to the last set of interactions of joy, joy and positivity, and
Right.
that rang through.
And how about you, Sam? Would you agree with this goodness?
For sure. I think for me, because I have done smaller weddings and more intimate weddings, I know like the feeling of being in a room with like a bride alone sometimes could be kind of like antsy or like kind of nerve-wracking. But Emily's energy all day was just like calm. And I remember I was so scared, like when I went, that she would be upset, or like, how like they could have gone kind of either way for her.
Yeah, for sure.
So I went there and I was like, all right.
Yeah.
I was a little bit nervous because obviously for me, my energy is greatly impacted by the couple's energy as well. Right. So the fact that she was so positive, and then Matt was so positive, everybody was just so happy that it didn't feel like it was like this thing that was put on them. It felt like this was 100% their choice. It wasn't like they had to do this, or like they were put in this position out of force. Like everything felt very organic. And obviously Trisha and all the other vendors made it so easy for us to just have a seamless day that was not like stressful or worrying about anything.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it was just smooth, when you realize, when you focus on if you can't control it, and you just have to, what can you control, and that's like your emotions, and not emotions, but your outlook. And then, I mean, trust me, like this coming to this point isn't like, well, I wasn't always like happy-go-lucky. There was definitely moments of serious disappointment, tears, but I am a very spiritual person. I really just like prayed that, whatever emotions that I have on the day, I just want it to be super, super happy, joyful day. Right. And thankfully, I mean, I think I cried. Well, I cried a lot during the speeches, but like the day when I was like, when I now arrived to the church, I saw my sister bawling. So obviously I cried a lot.
Oh God.
It wasn't like sobbing like I thought it was gonna be.
My mask got a little bit wet during that situation.
Oh,
oh my gosh. Yeah, Alisa, it was such an emotional day. But it was, if you can't control it, we can't. No one's in control of this pandemic. It's like, okay, we can't we can't let it stop every little thing in our lives,
Yeah.
Especially if it's not going to impact our health, in a big, if things are opening back up, and if it's, we've all been apart for, so much time, like 2 months of no one being interacting with anybody else, internet. So it didn't feel as like a high risk as it would have been, before. And just also keeping in mind, like, washing hands and wearing masks, and glad that I'm just happy I had great people to work with, and that I mean those decisions would have were made even before we thought coronavirus existed. So I'm glad I went with my instincts with the vendors that I did as well. So
very good.
Me too.
And to all the amazing vendors. All right. So Emily, honey, how is that whole thing? How was it, that whole process of having to cut down the guest list and having only 5 to 10? How many guests did you have in total? Was it about 10?
No, it was actually like, well, including Matt, it was like 5 other people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Guests.
Right.
So with Matt and myself included, it would have been 7 of us.
Okay.
So like the dinner was for 7 people.
Got you.
And I think with that process, I mean, the kind of cut and dry way to say it is it was all or nothing, Yeah. So I had to be very sensitive to my spouse and like his family and stuff. Because obviously I have family in Trinidad, I have my aunts, my uncles, that were in Trinidad. Some of them who had to stay in Trinidad and they were meant to go away and didn't, and they were just in the country anyway. Right. But at the end of the day, it was like his key family members couldn't be there. Right. So we really tried to keep it within the household. So it was my sister, brother-in-law, and my grandmother. Okay. And then my housekeeper, Sharon, who is not really she's a housekeeper, but she's like literally raised me. Family. And my sister, and like is an integral part of our family. And then my mother. Okay. So if we went kind of beyond there to invite, as much as we would have loved to like invite my aunts, my cousins, everything, it's like just super one-sided, So I wanted to give everybody have as a fair playing field as possible. Right. And yeah, like that was just what it is. My dad actually gave me that advice too. It's kind of like all or nothing in a sense, because you don't want to hurt too many feelings. Right. And we still have the hopes that, we will all like physically celebrate, when the time is right. Sure. And yeah, or it was kind of all or nothing.
I mean, I think you've already kind of answered this question in terms of, I know that it's a tough thing to think about in terms of what, the day may have looked like if it is that you had the 200 people there as compared to just having the 5, but I mean, based on the experience that you had, would you say that just having those 5, it truly was, I mean, just as meaningful? It was just as special as having the 200, or, or right. It would have been so awesome to have everything.
No, I think it's like literally, I think there's two parts to it. I think one part for sure, of course, it was like so meaningful, so emotional. We felt the love like literally oozing from the sky, like, because we're outside kind of. We felt the love, and when you have such a great challenge and people still show up for you, whether it's via Zoom, sending a video message. Some of my friends literally like they lined the streets outside the neighborhood with like little poster boards. It was like so beautiful. That to me is like in a sense, like to come to a wedding, you go, you get make a done, you put your dress, you go, you eat, you drink. They didn't have any of that, but they still came out, It wasn't like I needed to like, let me entertain you so you can like watch my marriage happen, which is a beautiful thing too. And so in that sense, like possibly I felt the love even more, right. In a sentimental way, but definitely there's an aspect of a wedding where people are physically there to witness and then celebrate all at once and really mark that day that we didn't really get to in terms of like everybody being there, and also, just the camaraderie of it. Although I know people chatted via Zoom during certain parts and whatever, like that's cute. But yeah, it's kind of it's
Cool.
Yeah, it's like a two.
You
It's
love
there's
it.
two answers. Like for sure, there was no lack of love that we felt, like for real, you know.
Right. I'll tell you this. After speaking to Trisha about your wedding, she nearly made me cry. Like I was having a hard time.
I was actually like, yeah, I was like, okay.
Yeah, no, she
like I have no more tears left in my
I will cry for all of you all today because I can tell you one time. No, she truly, the minute I saw the pictures, I mean, you know, Sam, you really outdid yourself here. Just, you know,
thank you.
100%.
Yeah, if I like,
Just
okay.
wait till you see the rest.
Oh gosh, of course.
I know, I'm so excited.
Exactly. So just from seeing just a couple of pictures, I was completely blown away. And then in speaking to Trisha, it was just 10 times worse. It's like, okay, like I mean, if I could have just been like a fly on the wall to just see and experience this whole thing, it would have just like made my whole year. Like she truly, you know, was touched by the entire experience, as I'm sure all of the other professionals, you know, were. So it's
Emily talk about how it was to have her friends come out and be on the street. And she didn't mention the part of her family members being in their vehicles after the ceremony.
That's true. True. No, exactly. Like all those things, it's like, again, like you didn't have like, it's not to say like, it's just that straight up like love. Like it's when you go to like pick somebody up from the airport, technically they could take a taxi home, but no, you go and show up for that. Like it's that kind of same scenario. I think that one is because I was expecting them to be there because they told me they were coming. But my friends coming around, I did not know. No one knew. So it was like a surprise for everybody. But yes, like when I walked out of the church, like I saw the bubbles. And like my little nephews, they had their bubbles and they still wore little bow ties and stuff. It was like so special. And my aunt and my uncle were there. And there's a lot of my family who like as soon as I got out of the car to even go in the church, I just saw like my aunt, my uncle, one of my bridesmaids like just there, you know. And again, like they didn't have to do that, like, you know. And then it's the love and the, you know, it's just something you'll never forget, like for real, you know. It's really like I'd probably like tell my grandchildren like, hey, like when I got married, I didn't have nobody there. Like it was just, you know. But you know, Auntie Pat and Uncle Andre, they came. Savannah was there. Like Auntie Savannah, you know, you would say that kind of thing, and you know, it'd just be unbelievable because it's, you know, and you think about like if it was them, would you do it? And of course, but you know, it's just that's just true love. Like it's just pure true love, you know.
Yeah. I don't, well, Emily, you could not have seen it. I saw bits and pieces of it. How your guests on the Zoom were looking at you guys, like they set aside that date, like we're getting dressed up and cutting. They were plastered to their phones or their computer screens. They watched, because I had my husband dial into the Zoom code. And I have a bunch of screenshots from all through the ceremony to show you how people were just present. And I don't think that you could have even understood, like, in spite of you saying they couldn't be there in person, how it was so amazing to bring them all together like that. Like you see that stuff happening on TV, you hear about the virtual, you experience it. Like there is nothing that can, there's no feeling, there's no emotion that you can describe having that type of gathering to life like that. I mean, and then of course, that was all rink. That was rink, and then rink. Rink at the church, and then Kern and Rink at your home afterwards for the reception to make sure that we had your dad on perfect so he can give his speech, Matt's mom on perfect, his dad, you know, that was no easy task.
Can you imagine?
Some sleepless nights, but yeah.
Yeah, well, let's get into that. Leon and Lisa, tell us about how that experience was and putting all of that together. How was that?
So I will give a little bit more the technical side of things. So when we got wind of, like, okay, this is still going to happen, and we basically need to, everybody still needs to be engaged as though they're there. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna get this done. How? So but I mean, I was telling Trish, luckily, we've been helping our church with like streaming and stuff like that. So I had like a couple of things, we could have done at the point in time. But as with any wedding, we usually go through all the scenarios, the sequences, because I mean, we build a film from it, and everybody needs to be there with you every second of the
Right.
way. So now I'm like, okay. So when Emily enters, I need to see Matt's reaction immediately, so everybody could feel it at the same time.
Yep.
So how am I going to do that? So we need to have this, that. So, at the end of the day, and because only I could have been there in the chapel,
Right.
doing both live streaming and
Wow.
rink video. It's a little hard,
Yeah.
but we just got the what's the priest name again, Trish? I forgot his name. He was really, really cool about it. And he was like, well, he paused wherever he needed to pause, and like I was like, okay, camera. And then Lisa was on the other side of the call, moderating, making sure that people remain muted, and
Right.
switch the screens and whatnot, accordingly.
Right.
But I mean, we would have probably reached 300 weddings around this time,
Okay.
and like nowhere within that time, we're like, okay, we expected this,
Right.
and we had our own little things to go through, but we put ourselves in Matt and Emily's shoes, and we're like, how it is that they're going to feel, what it is that they would want their guests to experience, how are we really going to execute on this? And I mean,
Yeah.
it took some doing, and we got it done. Thankfully, everybody they just gelled together. Like, okay, we just need to get done. We just got it done,
Right.
and we just need to thank Kern again for his, like, I need this, I need that, whatever. And Kern was like, yeah, no problem. I was like, well, I should ask him for a car one time. But thanks, Kern. If we never said it, thank you for your help on the day. I mean, without that, without that, we would not have gotten, like, the speeches that needed to come over Zoom. They needed to hear well the speeches that were happening at the actual at the home. Like, they needed to hear it well, and everybody just needed to be engaged. I know, Emily, we had to cut to your camera, sometimes, because we just like, they're giving a speech and they will be on spotlight, but we have had to cut to you to get that reaction to keep the thing going. So every time we cut to them, Matt was like, but it was fine. I mean, Emily, we thank you again for the opportunity, and I mean, we express our sentiments to you. So we will.
I didn't for 1 minute have pictured all the technicalities of getting that Zoom going. Like, you see people in pictures with their iPad and you think, oh yeah, just like put an iPad where people can see.
Yeah.
Kern and Rink took it to the next level in terms of, okay, they went there a couple of days before the wedding to make sure that to test the internet connection at the house.
Yeah.
It was, all of these things are learning for us all, because if I had to do that on my own, I would have never known what to do. I'm sure that, even at one point, Emily's mom said to me, well, we have a smart TV that's upstairs. That smart TV. And I thought to myself, let me just leave it to Kern and Rink to, we brought in an LED screen and hooked it up with all of the cabling and all of that technical stuff that I still don't have the first idea about. We did it. And it's not, in order to have people present and for them to feel like they are here in person, that connection had to be flawless, seamless. And so we needed to have a microphone where most people will say, oh no, when we speak loud enough, people will hear us. No, that microphone was absolutely necessary. The background music was necessary in order for it to be, like I said, for it to be where people really felt that they were there, not that they were like an afterthought.
I had
it was like they had to create like BBC like broadcasting like Meghan and Harry's like they had to pretty much like
pretty much.
you have like less than a week to pretty much put it together, and this has never happened before, by the way. So like hats off to them, because it felt like that, and the feedback from our guests was overwhelmingly positive. Like everybody thought that y'all did a great job, and they were like, wow, like that actually was, they're like, that was actually really good, and in theory it was good, and it didn't like a pain in the neck. It's gonna be like hello the whole time, or so yeah.
I had a quick thing with I know it kind of jumped out before, but like my whole thing about it was, Matt, and like how it is he may probably be feeling, because I mean his family's abroad, and when I went before Sam got there at his prep, I was like, Matt, we're really going to try to do this today, and we were very nervous about it, about how the stream was going to go.
Right.
And he was like, you know what, if they could see anything, I am still grateful. I appreciate it. Just do the best you can do, and that's good enough for me.
Right.
And I was like, okay, that made me feel a lot better. Just the fact that Matt, he said that, if they could see anything at all from the day, he's fine with that.
All right, and Corinne, let's hear from you. How was your experience going through this whole thing?
I thought it was fabulous.
Okay.
What amazed me the most on that day was, obviously I do a lot of weddings.
Yeah.
And the number one thing, like we all spoke about at weddings, is emotion. And that's basically my job as well. My job is to take everyone on a journey through this emotional day, and
Yeah.
And what amazed me the most was I actually thought I was going to go to the house and we're just going to have this virtual thing, and they see the speeches and we send back something to them.
Right.
But surprisingly, the emotions, the connections that happened on that day was pretty amazing. And if I could add that, the fact that people were at their homes seemed as though they were a lot more comfortable to express themselves. They're not in front of a big crowd. It was just personal, intimate, and that is what really impressed me the most. And I'll just add that before the night was done, I had played Savannah Grass by Kes, and Emily and Laura and all, they were jumping up and things. And, just that, if we could have just gotten that moment,
but don't worry.
Yes. That's my job. You know what I mean? And that got me kind of like, oh my God, I can't wait. Actually, I went to Emily's mom and I said, if you all are having anything, let me know. I'll do it. Don't worry about money and all that kind of, So.
Very nice. Gosh, you had such a good time, Emily. Nice.
It was so it was I knew there was a lot of things that I couldn't like know every single detail of like what went into making the whole broadcast a possibility. And even with it was great, and again, professionals doing what they do best. Them do everything. I know you'll know how to best do your job. Like Matt said, like just do your best, and that's what happened. I think we kind of all needed it a little bit, like because everybody's just been disappointment after disappointment, kind of.
Of course, yeah.
I think we all like just needed something like beautiful to do. It's like something just to
magic.
Like, and everybody here is in, obviously is a creative, and it's beautiful to be able to be given the opportunity to create. And even with me, like being able to do my wedding cake, that was a huge release for me. And like, so, and we do what we do because we love it, and to be able to get the opportunity to do it again is always great. So
tell me about that, Emily. That cake, OMG, that was so beautiful. Again, I mean, I saw just little pictures, and I'm like, look at this cake.
Yeah, I mean, it came out really good. I mean, because if we, like, I posted a whole like story about it and stuff after the fact. Yeah. But if everybody came in, and we would not have time to do that. And cake is what we do. And so the fact that like we could have done that together as a couple, because Mark actually baked all the layers, and then I put it together. Yeah, he baked all the layers, and we chose the flavors together. Yeah, that's why we.
Very nice. I did not.
Yeah, so, yeah, it was definitely a team effort, and being able to put it together and just really execute the cake that we would have wanted. Yeah, it was great.
As a creative yourself, being able to just do something beautiful for that one day and it come out, as exactly what you envision is just fantastic. I'm really happy that you did it and that you got some joy from it.
Under circumstances, circumstances, I would never, ever endorse a bride doing her own cake.
I know that.
But in this instance, it worked. It had to work.
Yeah.
It was going to be that personal touch that was going to be like their gift to their guests, and when I walked into Emily's kitchen and I saw on her whiteboard, like the whole descriptive of the cake and which layer was what flavor, had to be like that.
Yeah.
Had to. There would not be any cake baker who could have put that level of emotion and thought and everything into it the way that they did.
At most weddings, the best moment of I get from my experience, on the next day, which is like usually a Sunday, you get an influx of calls and well wishes from guests. How amazing your wedding was! Did you have that for this type of wedding?
Yeah, no, I 100% did. For the people who tuned in, and it was like an overwhelming amount of support regarding us. I mean, how well the whole stream worked, and obviously the little details of the day that they thought were beautiful. So yes, we did get a lot of positive feedback and so much love. So yeah, for sure.
Nice to hear that. I'm happy about it.
With regard to the music, so as you said, the experience was very different, a much smaller crowd, very intimate. So how was that? How was that whole thing playing for a nice small crowd as compared to 200?
I mean, I thought it was fun. I enjoyed myself. I hope they did. I mean, I kept my eyes on them. They were having their dinner, and I just tried to play like the right music in the background and set that same feeling as as if they were at a wedding with how much ever persons, Gotcha. But I think it was a lovely evening. I think Trisha and I spoke about it on the evening. Right. Yeah, we got that. I think we both got that feeling of wow, this was such a lovely evening, Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it was the first one like that. It was Emily's was the first one that was a micro wedding. Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay.
And then also, rain hadn't fallen in Trinidad for such a long time, but it chose to fall on that evening. But it did work out well. I mean, I think it just cooled down the place, cleared the mountains. Right. It was fantastic.
Yeah, we had a great time, Karen. So great job. Yeah. It was really fun.
Well, I'm looking forward to the after party.
Yes, we'll be in touch.
Okay, so Sam, I have a question for you, honey.
Yep.
Tell me, how was it from the church? Well, it wasn't at a church. Where was the ceremony? Was at a
It was at the Archbishop's Chapel.
Right.
So the Archbishop's house around the Savannah, which is like a dream for any person who's into architecture and Caribbean architecture and specifics. That Magnificent Seven is like my favorite thing about like Trinidad. So they had just actually redone it. I think it finished like last year, the construction.
Right.
So the chapel itself is like very beautiful, quaint, tiny, like what every like little chapel dream is.
Right.
And then obviously the outside of the Archbishop's house is just absolutely gorgeous, which is hilarious also because Emily wanted this whole bushy vibe that like I'm usually known for. So she's like, leaves, bush, we need somebody's garden. And I'm like, okay, let's think of that. So Trisha and I were like brainstorming ideas, and then I get a message. She's like, no, Emily's very excited about Archbishop's house. We're going to do it there. So I was like, sweet. I've always wanted to do pictures there. I think it would be so cool. And it's just, it was right there anyways. Smooth. I felt quite smooth for not having worked since, I don't even remember when I had last worked or like seen people really. So for me, it was kind of just more like an overwhelming excitement to be around people. Even though like we couldn't touch or anything, which I felt so sad because like there's so many moments that I just wanted to hug Emily or hug Matt or like hug Trisha and just be like, I'm such a physical person that was really hard. But the whole process of the photo taking was just so easy. We had so much fun taking pictures. Lisa and I were doing the shoot while Leon was back at the house. So it was just us. I brought along my speaker as usual, and we were just playing some music and
which dancing. I love that. I think that came through in the pictures, Sam. That was a really good idea.
Yeah, that was amazing, Sam.
Yeah. So that was really fun. It just was fun. It was not a fussy day, even though it was still an 8-hour day, which is crazy to think.
Yeah.
Because of the specifics of the wedding. Like usually smaller weddings, you stay for like 4 hours or 5 hours, but this was a full day and it didn't feel like a full day at all, except for the next day when my body was like, couldn't even move.
Your body felt it. Your body's like, okay, it's been.
Oh yeah. I was like, I should have trained for this or something.
So were there any like, I guess, I mean, the whole thing was so emotional and so great, but were there any like particular moments that really, really stood out, really made a big impact?
I think I didn't want to like say anything during the time it happened because I kind of gauged what was going through her mind. But when Emily put on her dress and she saw herself, so the way their bedroom is they have a whole wall of mirrors. So she obviously couldn't escape herself. She put on her dress and she was just looking in the mirror, and I just knew that she was thinking so many things in her head. And just thinking like, wow, this is it. This is actually happening. And I just looked at her and I was like, that's when I got like really choked up, and I was like, okay, I have to go by the boys now. And then actually what was really nice when I got by the boys, Emily and Matt had written Vera a little letter, which I thought was so sweet. Because Vera's just a joker, and like he just talks. Vera's Emily's brother-in-law, and he's just a big jokester. And this letter like actually made him tear up, and he got quite emotional, and it was really sweet.
Very nice.
So all those little things, like I look for like the tiny little sentiments in days like that. And then obviously during Emily's dad's speech, like he's just a character in himself as well, just making the funniest jokes. And then the moment that really stood out to me was when he awarded your mom the the award for, what was it? Best woman.
Best supporting
best supporting role. And I was like, yes, Auntie Pat, stand up. All these things are just really.
Yeah, so I guess even though he wasn't there, it was still like, if it is, he was standing.
He made his mark for sure.
For sure.
The time difference where he came to his speech in his shirt and his tie and it was about, what, 1 o'clock in the morning?
One in the morning.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
This is baby girl. That is
He managed to make it through.
My dad is an excellent speechwriter and orator in general. He definitely takes pride in that. And I knew he was not going to disappoint. He has a really good way of putting together, a little bit of current affairs, a little bit of politics, a tiny bit of sentimentalness, if that's the word, and lots of humor. And he did such a good job. It was awesome. It was really, 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 really good. So he definitely got his moment, which I think I really wanted him to. And then also the whole speech was just, it was such a great, it made it feel like even more of a wedding, because dad followed the bride talks.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. So he did a great job.
We didn't premiere the teaser. Emily and stuff would have seen it, but yeah, if you want to see it,
it was so good.
Oh God, I need to see this teaser.
I cried all over again.
Sky is waiting for the love that we found, side by side with all our dreams, feel our hearts beating loud, nothing in our way, we got nothing but time, and I can't wait to spend my life with you. We got everything we need between us. We got everything we want between us. We got everything, we got everything, we got everything. Oh, between us.
Trisha, where the Kleenexes? I think I have on glasses.
That was so nice.
Leon and Lisa, that is one of the best videos I've ever seen you all do.
Okay.
100%.
Thank you so much. Thank you
That
so much.
was
Really, really good.
that was
Well, the person who I usually credit, she just left to check the kids. I'll make sure and I'll tell her.
okay. Could you share a little bit of the decor with me? Your idea behind the decor that you had, the flowers, your bouquet.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the whole theme was kind of like, it evolved to be tropical at night, like tropical garden at night.
Right.
So not like super bright beachy at all, but just like very more sultry, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
And like literally how the one table that it ended up being decorated, it literally was so spectacular, exactly I wanted, like very rich colors, dark green tropical leaves, kind of like what I have put on right here.
Yeah.
And the little romantic kind of vibe to it. I didn't want any glitzy kind of, that's not my personality.
Right.
I wanted everything to be very natural, and that definitely came through in the decor and in the choices of, I wanted communal tables for the big wedding.
Right.
So we had one big farm table that I think we got from Party and Event. And of course, there was no other person I would ever think of doing my flowers than Amanda. And she's like a true artist. I mean, as all the vendors, again, she's a creative, and she does her thing, and she does it beautifully. So yeah, it was awesome. So kind of having to trim that down from when you have a bigger budget to do a lot of little things. So instead, we kind of, like, Trisha was also a guide to this. It's like, and my mom too. Like, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do everything exquisite. That's my mother's quotes. Like, my mother loved word.
I could give you
that was her word for her.
Yeah, your mother deserves the biggest hug, because she's right. At the end of the day,
and she kept encouraging me to keep it special, and she kind of was a big North Star in terms of, like, okay, well, this is we have to make it as nice. We have to make it nice. You know, glad she encouraged me because when I sat down there in the big it's peacock chairs, right?
I love
Yeah,
those
peacock
chairs. That was
which
so nice.
actually acquired. It was like on and it was off. It was on and it was
Oh,
off. Like we
wow.
couldn't get these chairs. So I'm so glad we got them because they translated so beautifully in the pictures and in the feeling of sitting in them, and like really it did feel like we were on a head table, and you know, just in front of us all the how beautiful the space looked, and it's you can make any, like you made so nice no matter what size, you know, arguably like in depending on, you know, what you do, you can make it even nice, more special. I love Amanda's work in general. Like her work already is like a Pinterest board. So it was very easy for me to just literally go on her Instagram page and say like, I love this size, or this size is a little big. I don't think that this size would be good for me, or kind of just pull from her previous work to kind of guide what I would have wanted. Her work inspired a lot what I wanted to do in the first space. It's like the ideal scenario. It's like I don't have to go and dig through Pinterest to find another creator. Like I'm using the creator's portfolio to guide what I want, you know. So and her work is so outstanding and stunning, and there's no one else I would have wanted to do my decor and decor coordination. With Rank, it was like unanimous. Trisha sent me 3 videographers. Matt and I both watched the 3 videographers' reels separately, and then we both agreed, like without even talking to each other, that Rank was the one for us, you know. And then with Sam, and the reason why we chose Rank is just because it was the most natural. Obviously, quality is incredible, and it just felt more authentic. If we were going to do videography, we didn't want it to be cheesy. We didn't want it to be like staged. We wanted it to be natural. And they had a very, very, they just did that seamlessly. And then with Sam, I've always been a Sam of, who's Sam? I've always been a fan of Sam because he actually shot Laura's wedding, even though I know you didn't. I don't know if you did any editing work with it, but she shot Laura's wedding like super last minute. Her energy is incredible. Such a happy, you know, soul to be around, and her on her description on her Instagram always was intimate wedding photographer, and regardless of if I had 250 people, I still wanted an intimate feeling wedding, you know.
In your experience with this whole thing, you know, what would you, I guess, recommend to other couples who are currently, you know, going through it and still trying to figure out, you know, what is best for them? What would you say?
I think that they should, it's like literally, it's, what's he saying? They have to just choose what is their priority in essence, and then there's no right or wrong answer to anything. You know, it's such a personal decision. I could barely even speak on that. But if they know deep down inside that this is probably for them, but they feel like they might be hurting other people's feelings, I think this pandemic has taught us, and all you have it is now. So maybe they want to reconsider that. So if deep down inside you like, there may be a couple that may see this, you know, piece and think, you know, maybe this would be the right thing, but maybe this and such would be hurt. If you know you want, what you want is to get married and move on, then go for it. And if you really feel like this is something that you wanted to have a certain way, then stick with stick and postpone, you know. But don't be afraid of the micro wedding scenario at all, and it can be super beautiful. Listen to the experts, listen to, you know, your instincts, and just go with that. But it's such a personal decision. I know that I know that I'm different, and than a lot of other brides, and we're different from a lot of couples. But if you think it might be for you, go for it. If you really think that you wanted that big wedding, just, you know, do you
have them both? Have them both.
Yeah, have them both.
Just do it all.
I have clients who are doing both. They are doing 2 different days. One that is a micro wedding because that's all that the time will permit. That's all that the country will permit right now. And they are going to have an actual reenactment of their ceremony and a full-on reception when that time's right.
Wow, look at that. Fantastic. That's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun. So you see, case by case basis, you're quite right. If it is that you think that it's for you, then go 100% into it. If not, then I guess, you know, as Trisha said, either do both or just wait until the time passes. I think a lot of the concerns that brides have is that it's like, should I do both? Is that a good idea? Is it a good choice? Should I really, you know, a lot of that is where things are getting a little bit.
A lot of what helps to make their decisions is budget, right?
Yeah, I was just about to say the finances play a huge part in all of this. And for some people, it isn't feasible to do 2 celebrations. That's why they're kind of scared to do a micro and then possibly not be able to do a bigger wedding as well. So I think it really is quite subjective who can do what. And I think for some people, that is where the hard decision lies, which is very unfortunate, obviously. But
I mean, we have couples, you know, they're shifting, because I mean, I asked them, we'll try to get, you know, where their head is at, and most of them, they're about like they want to enjoy the day with family and friends and the whole 200, 300 people.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know, well, I mean, everybody's different, you know, which is why I appreciate, you know, the two ends of the spectrum, from micro to 3, 4, 5, 600, you know, these weddings that we do. And in some cases, you know, couples shifting a whole year down the road, and I'm like, okay. But I mean, being married now ourselves, almost 10 years, is like, I think, Emily, we were telling you that as well when we had our chat on the cake day. I was like, you know, well, now we see, like, you know, it, and even as a parent, you know, it's like, it's so much wiser. Like, you know, 2 people want to get married, just, you know, let them go, you know. Don't hold it back to have this, you know, big shebang, and, you know, they just like, God, I want to get married, I wait so long, you know.
Because you're already waiting. I mean, if you think of it, I know for Emily, you must have been planning in advance. This is not that you just decided, okay, well, I'm going to get married tomorrow and that's that. No, this is months of planning. And some couples, I mean, we have had couples that plan weddings 2 years in advance, if it were that they were coming from abroad and all of that, you know. So it must have been, as you said, emotional, you know, going through that and even thinking about, okay, do I push this back another year? Like, is that...
Yeah, that was not even on the table.
Exactly.
That's just not how Matt and I are as a couple. So that was never like any thought.
So that couples understand that regardless of the size of the wedding, that you want it properly. You know, that's the main thing. Do the right thing, put people to do the jobs that they're best at. Don't let, you know, an auntie handle this or an uncle handle this. No. In saying that, I say it sparingly, because maybe the auntie and the uncle handling it is how they're able to afford it, right? So I have to be very sensitive to that. But at the same time, and knowing that we had to bridge that gap totally seamlessly of bringing in family members who should have been there that were not there. That was my main thing. We need to do this right. Like, we went back and forth. Do we need a microphone? I mean, when Veer speaks as the MC, his voice is very clear. It's very loud. But we needed it so that all those hundreds that were watching could also hear him well. These are the little things that I think that people take for granted, that when they're putting something together and, oh, we can do it, we can get it done, that they don't think through as much, you know. And in an instance like this, because we were guided by country restrictions with respect to workers and people being together, we also had to own the responsibility of doing it properly, but with a core team. Like, there was no catering team that we could work for. There was no bar team that we could just, you know that they're taking care of their work. There weren't like Sam didn't even have a second shooter, which is often the norm, right? So like she said, she covered the bride getting ready, then she would leave and go cover the groom. Normally that's done by her second shooter.
Yeah. And we usually have two at any ceremony. Yeah. So I mean, it was a little crazy, but yeah.
I feel like you have to be even more attentive because I mean, even though the big weddings have all these different elements you have to pay attention to, a micro wedding is, I mean, I feel like even more intense because you have to like look at every little detail and be like, okay, I can't miss that one shot. I can't miss this one thing. And as Trisha's saying, you know, like you have to be looking at everything and make sure that everything is in place, that this is working, that is working. It's something else. What your experience was really different. Really,
because it's really and truly almost like a normal day.
Yeah.
With less, less
just
people,
less
more
people. just
For me personally, actually, I
no
preferred
complaint, Emily. We're not
second
complaining.
shoot.
We're not complaining.
So it was not that difficult. Because I think the way that I shoot as well, I shoot in the perspective of a second shooter and a first shooter because I've done both.
Right.
So I kind of shoot in that perspective in case anything were to go wrong with either of our stuff, that I have both perspectives. And for a smaller wedding like that as well, I feel like having a second person there takes away from my experience with the couple, and I have to kind of be like looking to see what the second shooter's doing and wondering what they're up to, whereas I want to be fully immersed in the couple on the day. So for me, I really didn't feel much of a difference in that sense, but it definitely put an additional pressure onto things that if something were to go wrong and it was just me, that I would be like, oh God.
Okay, so after this whole experience with everything with Emily and with all the wedding professionals and stuff, what final words, what advice could you give to brides to be, I guess, from Trinidad that are looking on and trying to figure out if to one, hire a wedding planner, if it is that they need to go through that process, how essential that is. And yes, Emily's like, yes.
Like,
I think
the wedding planner make sure that they ensure that all the money that you spend on all these awesome vendors, that you're really, really getting them at their prime and that they're most organized and coordinated. So essentially, like the value of your wedding is just gonna go up tremendously, and you're gonna get if it's a money thing, you're getting your bang for your buck in that sense. Like, it's just everything is being worked together in the best way possible, because if things are going awry, the professionals that you hired are not able to do their job properly. So
for me, at the risk of sounding cliche, my advice to other brides, just choose love. Like, that's what everybody's been saying. I think that's probably one of the most popular hashtags that we see out there with everything that's happening in the time that we're living in right now. But in the end, that's what it is. Just choose each other first. That's what I have been encouraging. And I've been having some very, very harsh conversations with couples in all different types of situations, whether they live here in Trinidad or they live away. They're all looking forward to something that they've probably been planning since they were very small. Like in the instance of brides, since they were girls, they've been planning this. My advice is to, work with someone who's got that kind of external perspective on things, because often when you lean heavily on family, which you have to do, they too are swayed by emotion. Whereas the planner is the one who can help you kind of say, okay, hold on, we've heard this, now let's make sense out of nonsense. Let's do things for the right reason. The planner is definitely the person who brings together the budget. Like without going ahead with anything, I had to make sure that regardless of whether this was 5 or 250, Emily and her mom were comfortable with what they were spending. We didn't put anything in place until that was all set. So somebody's got to do that for you, because it is overwhelming and daunting doing things for yourself, getting yourself ready, getting your clothes ready, Emily had gifts that she gave to her bridesmaids, beautiful touches that she wanted to focus her time and attention that she was able to do that because she had somebody taking care of everything else. And I don't think that clients recognize the value of that until after the fact. You know, when they talk to people and they get these stories, it's very, very hard for me as a planner to sell my services to someone who does not understand what we do. Right? So that's why these stories are so important. We have to tell them, we have to share them, not because I want to keep working. Yeah, of course, I always want to work, but tell the stories that they're real. This is how it happens. So whether it's 5 people or 500 people, we are there to walk the journey with them. We are there to guide them and support them and take that kind of unbiased approach to the planning of their wedding, right? In addition to that, I have to say it, but even that one table that Party and Event came and delivered, right, I was just so thrilled and pleased to see the guys coming to work after they had been out of work for so long. Yeah. Don't recognize, I mean, how getting people doing the things that they want to do, even in the simplest format. It wasn't a big job for them. It didn't take a lot of time, but they got out, they got a little pay, and as a result, they're able to feel better about holding on for when this event industry will start again. And for me, that's huge to see that all these people who were working so hard up until one point, and then the next day we were not working at all. Come out to work and do what they love and be able to pour their whole heart and soul into it. That's so important. Has to be said. From the littlest to the biggest job has to be said. And we have to support each other like that. The industry on the whole has to support like that. Her family in particular, because we are sharing the story of Emily's day, her family recognized their role in supporting her and all the things that they had to do so that they let all of the vendors do what we needed to do. And that's important.
Emily, I need to let you know, you really, made an impact on your team here. Like, everybody was really happy working with you. You really are the sweetest. You and your husband.
Yes.
Hello. So thank you so much again, guys. This was
thank you.